Because when we're taught, and especially going to college, we're taught to go to college, get your degree, get a job, travel a little bit. Roughly around 30 is when you should be ready to settle down.
True.
And now we're looking at what the sexual market value is, and we hit our peak at 25. So
But
by the time we're thinking we're ready, we're already over there touching on the wall. And
most
I
But
think
if I,
this
women,
is the. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Sister Courtney.
Well,
No,
go ahead. Yeah, go
okay,
ahead.
I'm sorry. I just want to say, but see, other cultures of women don't think like that. It seems to be, in my opinion, it seems to be mostly black women that think that way. Because you see other
Mm-hmm.
cultures of women, they're usually, uh, even though they're pursuing their degree or their higher education or whatever, they're also pursuing a long-term relationship, preparing themselves for marriage at the same time. Whereas I think the sisterhood has been told just put it off as long as you can, and then you should be ready, like you said, about 30 years old. But 30 years old, now you realize, whoop, I'm priced out the game. I'm basically priced out of the game. I'm going after the
So,
same guys that girls 22 or 23 are going after. Who's going to win that
yeah.
fight, right?
Well, let's put in context a little bit because I agree. You're right. I don't think any other culture really have this problem but us, where it's black women. Get your own. Don't depend. Be self sufficient. But
And there's no
why?
problem with that. It's no problem. It's just they
Yeah.
wait too late to till they so far down the line to jump back into the market seriously. I mean, they're dating all the time, but I mean, I'm talking about seriously get back into the market.
Right. So my question is why? Because
well,
this
It's
wasn't
simple.
going on. This wasn't going on 30, 40 years ago.
Right,
Grandmama and them was getting married at 15. My grandmama got eight
right,
kids and started for 16 years old. So
right.
this is a
I,
nuance to us.
I'm guessing it has something to do with the change of society and the lack of elders in the community. It's a mixture of both. Let's be honest with
Mm-hmm.
you. For every other culture outside the United States, they have elders in the community. They put a particular structure and order within their family as well as the community as well about what they expect from not only from the males but also from the females. Am I correct? You used to have that back in the 50s, in the 40s, in the 30s. No one
Mm-hmm.
was pushing single mom or singlehood a lot. They were pushing to have a strong family structure. Now, as society changed, you had the media. Everybody got access to TV. What
Mm-hmm.
are they promoting on the TV that will convince the person to say there's no point getting married? Enjoy yourself the way we want to do. Because I had to look back, and I remember Kevin Stammer mentioned it, and I remember in small detail from every era, from the 80s, from the 90s to the early 2000s, what was being promoted on TV that galvanized and captured the people interest or their focus on that make them consider like, you know what, screw marriage. We have the magazine out there, Cosmetology, whatever that crap magazine is, that teaching a different ideology to women as well to men. Then we have the rap music. What were you saying in your music that convinced them to say otherwise? Screw it. Because in our
Yeah.
country, in Nigeria, um,
PLA.
yeah, I'll say this.
Can I jump in?
Shout out Lee. What's going,
I,
Lee?
I try to take my time to explain what's going on because living in that country, I how would I call a wake up call? Out here,
Yeah.
everyone's willy nilly having sex, doing whatever they want, right? Over there was a hidden fear that put a place on kids, young teenagers, adults, and so on. Even though you do it, you got to be careful because the moment pregnancy came out of wedlock, like I saw witnesses speaking,
Yeah.
they went to go and get a particular guy
So
who pregnant one of the people's daughter, brought him to their compound, threatening him. Now you got two choices.
right.
Either you marry my daughter to save on not only your name but our name, or not only will deal with you, we will deal with your family. No
Right.
one want to have the
Go ahead.
shame of having a daughter being pregnant out of wedlock. No one want to have their daughter being,
Yeah.
which that's some of the things that happen in our nature, in our culture. And I, to this day, I'm still trying to figure out who started that ideology first, because before Christianity came to that country, they had that mindset ever since then.
Yeah.
I understand. What Amawale, and I think Brother Clarence, you got something to say as well.
Yeah, no, I just
Yeah,
wanted
but
to
don't
say,
let brother go ahead and speak.
all right, I
And we'll let
appreciate
you
that,
take
brother. I appreciate
Mm-hmm.
that. I just wanted to say that I think historically, if we look historically at our behavior in terms of family creation and weddings within Black America or marriages, we historically had very high rates of marriage within the Black community. In fact, um, if you go back to the turn of the 20th century, right? So around 1895, 1899, Black Americans had
Mm-hmm.
higher rates of wedlock than white Americans. And if you kind of like follow that trend up until about 1969, you see a situation where 70%, more than 70% of Black children were born to intact families, right? Were born to units of husband and wife. But you get this change, right? There's a few things that are
Mm-hmm.
happening at the same time, right? Of course, you have societal changes that are influencing the attitudes of women. And I think that Black women were impacted to a greater extent than other women because Black women didn't have the protective covering of manhood in the way that other groups of women have had, right? Black women have never had the option to truly stay at home. For an example, even during the wartime, when Black men were doing economically well, there were places down in the South, like in Carolina, where they were passing laws where it was considered criminality for a Black woman to stay at home, right? For a Black woman to
Mm.
give up her job and stay at home and try to be with her children, she could be charged criminally for doing so. So, I
Wow.
think that we see a lot of changes, with the feminist movement. But I think the most important thing is that societies are things, I mean, not societies, families are institutions that are subsidized by society, right? By policy and by government. And the policy when it comes to the Black community has always been to destroy that family unit because they understand that that family unit is the thing that produces culture and produces people. So many of the changes and attacks that we sustain as a collective, the white community here in the United States didn't withstand. And I think it created a situation where a lot of Black women felt as though they, had to be their own men, right? They had to fend for themselves economically. And I think that
Yeah.
some of them took pride in that because of the propaganda that feminism was producing in terms of the independent woman until they reached kind of like, as you referred to as the wall, and they realized like, damn, this is a raw deal. And I think more and
Mm-hmm.
more you're seeing lots of women in the Western world that are saying, damn, this is actually a raw deal. Like, I don't want to be a man. I want a man. And I think that that's what we're seeing right now. And I think that this Black
Yeah.
woman have a greater, they're a bit more critical and the fact that they want a man, but the availability of men that are marriageable material is not as high in our community. Again, due to the societal policies that
Right.
have attacked our community collectively. So I think it's a bit more complicated. It's not a very
Yeah.
simple thing. Yeah.
So, are you guys seeing somewhat of the pendulum switch a little bit as far as with women, in particular, talking about Black women in our community, where we're kind of understanding maybe what they're wanting and understanding that.
On the
Oh,
corporate
I want to say
level,
that we understand sexual mark. I want to say that we understand S&V, but we don't. And again,
No,
I am still learning, so
no,
we definitely don't.
no,
I'm gonna put this back up.
no.
Um, again, we how it's our looks is definitely important. So the looks part, the 29%, right? I think looks goes into physical, not only your face but your body, which I
Right,
think a lot of us are
yes,
missing the
yes.
mark on. The age, we're missing the mark on because we are only realizing this at a later age in life.
right.
Um, Faithfulness. I mean, that's huge too. Are we
And
missing
it,
the mark on faithfulness?